welcome to Half the Battle. Do you know who are good people? Bomb disposal experts. So, let's take a look at one from the G.I. Joe team.
Meet Lightfoot. This figure was released in 1988 with all original body parts. And do you want to know the first thing I thought of when I originally saw this guy? I figured it was a new version of Airtight. I mean, you could see why I would be confused, right? The color scheme is pretty much identical. Not that I mind, because it's a great look. It may not be traditionally military, but it works.
I just have one small problem with the outfit.
He's a bomb disposal guy. Yet, for some reason, he has 3 grenades strapped to his chest. That seems to be a bit, counterproductive, to say the least. It's especially odd, since his accessories don't include any weapons at all.
Hey, a genuine segue into talking about accessories! I usually can't pull that off!
First, there's his backpack. It's got the same 3D image on it that Battle Android troopers have on their chest. It's pretty neat. It's part of a set, actually. It connects to a handheld explosive sensor with a sort of electric wire. Pretty cool little ensemble. He also comes with a little robot base thingy. And yes, it's neon orange, but it is actually appropriate here because, you know, it's for explosives work. You want something like that to be noticed.
Lastly, I just gotta talk about his helmet. Oh man, the helmet!
I mean, just look at that. It's like Ant-Man and Blue Beetle had a baby. Honestly, it's pretty damn cool. It's futuristic looking and functional for explosive detecting. And you can imagine it doing lots more. In fact, the helmet looks like a pair of futuristic night vision goggles.
Which is actually very appropriate considering the second figure Lightfoot got. Boom! Second segue in one review! I'm learning!
Yes, his second figure, released in 1989, was a straight recolor and part of the Night Force sub-team. My absolute favorite.
Oh, you already know what I'm gonna say here.
Of course I love this figure. The color scheme is an improvement on the original, and the helmet looks even better in black. With the exception of the once again molded on hand grenades, I can't find any flaw with this toy.
Well, okay, there is one small gripe I have with both figures.
The helmet is made of hard plastic, so taking it on and off tends to damage the paint on his hair. Other than that, though, it's all golden. And those were the only 2 toys of Lightfoot ever released. They're both great, but it should come as no surprise to you that my favorite is the Night Force version.
With that said, let's talk about the character, starting with the file cards.
Lightfoot is extremely meticulous. He has memorized all the formulas for creating explosives to bust through all sorts of materials. Of course, this was a time when there was no internet and any idiot could just look this stuff up online, so it does make sense.
By the way, I've been calling him a bomb disposal guy for most of the review, but actually, according to the file card, he's an explosives expert. So, he also sets bombs.
In that case, the grenades on his chest sorta make sense, I suppose. But that doesn't really mesh with his accessories, which are clearly for bomb detecting and disarming, so I'm sticking with that. He's also very thorough. He'll take twice as long as others to clear a room, but you can be sure he'll find any explosives. Sure, that's a good thing to have, unless you're standing in line for the bathroom. By the way, the file card calls him a fuzz budget, and I think that's just awesome, because I don't think I've heard that term used since the old Charlie Brown comic strips. The Night Force file card adds nothing, except to say that, well, he's now part of Night Force.
Well, thanks for stating the obvious.
There's no cartoon section this time, since Lightfoot was released in between cartoon series, meaning he wasn't featured in either. Which leaves us with the comic.
And oh boy, Lightfoot might just be the unluckiest Joe in the comics. Well, except for all the ones that died, obviously.
He is first introduced in Special Missions issue 13, Washout. Promising title, isn't it? He's on his final training mission before being accepted into the G.I. Joe team. Unfortunately, things don't go too well, as they end up being captured by enemy forces. Lightfoot is singled out to be tortured for information, and he eventually gives in and reveals they were sent to blow up an army cache the United States had left behind. The bad guys leave them, but the Joes don't give up. Even though Lightfoot can't walk, they head for the cache and do manage to blow it up thanks to his explosives expertise. He later shows up in issue 82 of the regular comic.
And here's the kicker!
Even though he completed his previous mission, since he got hurt and had to heal up, that meant he failed and has to go through the entire G.I. Joe recruitment program again. This issue was called Weeding Out.
Man, they really didn't want this guy on the team, did they?
So he goes through the training where they whittle down 200 candidates to just 3.
Again!
And he is then sent on a dangerous mission.
Again!
Where he ends up saving the day by blowing something up.
Again!
Luckily, he didn't get tortured this time, so he's a full-fledged Joe from that point on. And after that, he really doesn't do anything of note in the comic ever again. So the whole point of his comic character seems to be to show just how much crap you have to go through if you want to become a G.I. Joe.
Well, in the comic anyway.
In the cartoon, you just have to show up and you're in, even if you don't wear a shirt. So, that was Lightfoot. 2 great action figures, with the Night Force one being obviously the best. A decent amount of characterization, and it was pretty neat to see how a bill becomes a law. I mean, how a guy becomes a G.I. Joe.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode. But next time, December will be upon us. And that can only mean one thing.
Winter's coming.
Winter is coming.
See you later, everybody.